A popular axiom offers that it is easier to build up a child than to repair a broken adult. Charles Smith has been committed to child building through skiing for the majority of his adult life. Charles was born in Grassland, Texas, a small unincorporated community in the western part of the state. He first came to Denver in 1962, arriving in the Mile High City on a Greyhound bus for a summer job, fully intending to return to his studies at Oklahoma's Langston University. Ironically, his summer employer was a shoe shop that also mounted skis for Gart Brothers. He never returned to Langston, deciding instead to pursue his education as a manufacturing engineer at Metro State College and the University of Colorado, Denver. One day in 1966, Charles and some of his buddies decided to give skiing a try. They went to Loveland, taking a rope tow and a chair to the top of the mountain. He was immediately hooked and rapidly became a good skier.
At that time, in the early 70s, there were very few black skiers. My first impression was his skiing ability. That's what caught my attention.
And I see this guy coming down the slope, just cool as can be.
Just kind of floating. Everybody else was just kind of stumbling across the moguls, and he was just kind of floating across there.
And the guy turned out to be a black man.
Then, in 1972, Bryce Parks and Floyd Cole met with around 10 people and organized the Slippers and Sliders Ski Club with a primary objective of promoting skiing in Denver's minority community. Charles became an early member of the club and an ardent supporter of the reason it was organized. In 1973, the Slippers and Sliders Club became one of the founding member clubs of the National Brotherhood of Skiers. In the mid-1970s, he began to organize and promote various activities for Slippers and Sliders members. Charles served as the club's golf tournament chairman for 25 years, while also helping to organize events such as the annual Wine Sip, Dinner Dance, and Fashion Show, a fall event that attracted up to 600 attendees in some years. He reached out to inner-city kids who could not afford the clothing, equipment, or ski passes, and through his fundraising activities and generous in-kind contributions from merchants, every child was properly clothed, equipped, and funded. From 1974 to 1999, Charles served as the program director for the Ski for Kids program that introduced 1,500 youngsters to the sport of skiing.
It allows inner-city youth to get up to the mountain. He was instrumental in helping getting that started, and it still runs today.
He's totally dedicated to African American youth skiing in the sport, and he's pretty much dedicated his whole skiing career to that.
For the kids, it's something that maybe they might not have ever gotten to do otherwise, and they're excited about it and they're happy. And you see big grins on their faces because they're excited about doing something that is so much fun.
Skiing with Charles and the Slippers and Sliders was always a fun, educational, and memorable event. The bus from Denver would leave at 6:30 a.m., and once at the mountain, Charles would usually spend the morning skiing green and blue runs with the less experienced skiers.
Then in the afternoon, now it's time to not take any prisoners. We're going to really go and hit the tough stuff before we hit the bus. And it was just always phenomenal. Sometimes I'd get all the way down and Charles was coming down and all the other people trying to mimic him all the way down, and of course some of them were just falling all the way down, but they were trying to be like Charles.
His abilities on the race course were showcased at the National Brotherhood of Skiers competitions held at the organization's summits and mini-summits. He often made appearances on the podium in these events, particularly in the mogul skiing contests.
I can remember the time we skied with Stein Eriksen, and I could see some of the same style in terms of the skis were always together.
From the early 1980s through today, Charles has displayed an uncanny ability to recognize and identify minority ski racers with the skills and potential for achievement in the sport at advanced levels. Some of his prodigies have gone on to attend Vermont's Burke Mountain Academy and the Crested Butte Academy. In the 1990s, one of these racers was ranked in the top 10% of skiers in his age group nationally and was the first minority to win the Alpine Junior Olympics National Championships in 1996.
Jahi Royer was a little guy. He finally got to be a B, an A racer, and had FIS points. And every time we'd have a race at one of the conventions, and Jahi would come, he would be pace setter.
The National Brotherhood of Skiers has grown into an organization of nearly 60 predominantly black ski clubs in 43 cities. As regional vice president of the Rocky Mountain region for NBS, Charles strongly supported the idea that many of the group's major meetings and summits be held in Colorado. Hosting 25 of these week-long gatherings has significantly contributed to the state's economy. Now 74 years old, Charles skis about 60 days each winter, which is about average for him over the past 50 years. Charles Smith is living proof that it is indeed easier to build up a child than to repair a broken adult. It is with great pleasure that we welcome Charles Smith to the Colorado Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame as a pioneer member tonight of the class of 2016.